Hey, this is Paul, and I get the question a lot. What do I do? My dragon fruit are yellowing. They're yellow. How do I fix it? Well, there is a myriad of factors here on why these plants yellow. So first thing is the time of year. Yellow in the winter is going to be totally different than yellow during our summer growing season. Now in this case, it's not a lack of nutrients, it's not a lack of water. This is straight UV damage. There's too much sun hitting these plants right here. Now remember, these are epiphytic cacti. They're not desert cacti. And what they do in nature is they climb up trees in the shade spots, and these trellises kind of mimic it, right? You can see there's no damage here on the base, right? But it's up on the canopy. And the reason why is because these plants naturally are climbers. They're epiphytes up trees, and you can see this one here has popped out. So this is gonna yellow. I should actually break off the tip. And then if this was a mature branch, I'd be getting a fruit off of here. So in other words, these plants kind of need some yellowing to stress in order to produce fruit, as you can see here. See, there's yellowing, and it's not always bad. Now, if I had a lot of money, I would put up 30 to 50% shade cloth here, probably about 45% personally, and I would have the ability to move it however I want, open it and close it. But I can't afford to do that yet, maybe someday. And some varieties, they do fine in full sun. Some are definitely more sensitive. So what I've learned after growing hundreds of varieties here, as you can see, is that I can look at a plant pretty carefully and realize if it's bad and if I need to treat it. So you can see this is fine. I'm not worried about that. But this yellow here, I'm starting to get a little more concerned. I don't know if you could see the white there. There's another example up here. Not too concerned about this yellow here, but see right here? That's going to be permanent damage. So ways to treat this is you can easily put up a shade cloth. You can throw burlap on like I do. And you could put up an umbrella. There are tons of ways that you can treat and protect these plants. And look at here, I had this covered for about a week. You can see a lot of the yellowing has disappeared. There is a little permanent damage here, see that? So I want to scoop that out.
That's a little rot, right?
Yep, a little bit of rot. There could have been a pathogen there, and it kind of just, the sun stress adds to it. Watch that plant, Scott, watch that mango tree. Okay, so look up here, let's see this. So this variety is a really good example. This Yala X, I love this plant, but it gets really yellow, especially when the sun has moved up after the solstice and the angle of the sun is just hitting here, right here during the mid part of the day when the UV is most intense. So you can see it's starting to get damaged here. I threw a little burlap on and you can see I stopped the damage that's got, this is sunburn, this is permanent damage here. Now it's not gonna affect the plant. You can see this one's got a fruit here and it got the same damage here last end of July, early August. So some varieties are more prone to it, some are more resistant. Look at this American Beauty, some yellowing here, not too concerned. Some branches you might lose in a case like this, you might just prune them back, but most of them are just gonna bounce back and do fine. So all the Epsom salts in the world are not gonna help these plants in this case. What will help is kind of like our bodies, right? If we get sunburned, we put on some sun care or stay out of the sun, and that's what these plants need. Some people even spray the clay. That also works well. And you can see, again, just that sun stress. It happens this time of year. You can add a little bit more nitrogen, fertilize your plants, and that will help as well. But there's nothing you can do. The best way is just add a little bit of shade, and in a few weeks, they'll do just fine. So another thing you want to consider is the age of your branches here. This is a young branch. You can see it's slightly yellow. But in this case, I would not protect it because you can see it's just so vigorous and healthy. And this is Gray Martin's 1355, which he bred to grow in full sun. So certain hybrids and varieties are more tolerant to the sun and UV versus maybe something like this Guatemalensis here. You can see it was really yellow. It's always yellow, but it's turned really green, and look at that. It's not affecting its fruit production. So this plant probably looked the worst in this plot. It was so yellow. It's got a little bit of sun damage here, you can see, but generally it's bounced back green, and look at all of the beautiful fruit. So remember, yellow isn't always bad. In other words, these plants kind of like a little stress. Now, something else like this, maybe you can see at a very specific angle, right where the trellis is coming over and tapering off, this is where you're gonna get the most damage. And this is probably due to some of the genetics here. This is a cross. This is Black Dragon. It's Coniflorus, Solanaceae Coniflorus crossed with Ocamponus. So that Coniflorus genetics is not as sun tolerant as maybe an Ocamponus, which is down there. Now, optimally, you can see shade cloth, again, is the best way to do it, or if you have a canopy. So this is Edgar's Baby and Don Burnett's Guatemalan from Taiwan. And you can see, look at, there's no yellowing. And it almost probably, I would argue, maybe gets too much shade in this spot. I was gonna prune off some more of the bamboo, but you can see it's not affecting the production. Look at the beautiful fruit. Okay, it's had really nice multiple waves. It's got another flower bud, and the Guatemalan's coming in too. So you can see this is a nice amount of sunlight, and it gets that afternoon sun. So this gets shade like you can see right now. It's what, 10 o'clock? And look at how shady it is. And it just gets that nice afternoon sun, and this plant is perfect. So this is probably an optimal location for these varieties. Now, you can see this Voodoo Child's really yellow, but it's not affecting their production. You can see some of the branches are yellow, and in this case, the type of yellow, I'm not too concerned. This is a very mild yellow, but I am gonna monitor it. If it starts to get that damage like I kind of showed you earlier, that's where I'm gonna cover it. Now, some people ask, well, what do you do with new plantings? And some people say you shouldn't plant in these heat waves. Well, what I do is, like, I planted all of these here just 2 days ago, and I just leave this burlap over them. So it must be, I don't know, over a dozen pots, 20 different varieties at least. Some are rare one-of-a-kind hybrids. And all I did is I just got a really nice stretch of this beautiful burlap. And I got this on Amazon. I'll put in the link. I like the burlap down here. This is this is Home Depot burlap. But if you look at the difference here, come on down, I actually like the one from Amazon better. So as you can see here, not all burlap qualities are the same. This is the roll from Home Depot, and this is the stuff I get on Amazon, and I prefer it. It's
what was the cost difference? I mean, was the stuff
I would actually say I think the Amazon was a little cheaper. Yeah. It's gone up in price. It's about 20 bucks a roll now. This one was a longer roll.
It's like they use double the fabric and double the material.
And sometimes what I do, if the sun burns really bad on the plant or the yellowing, I will actually do 2 layers of burlap. But I'm only going to buy the stuff from Amazon from now on. So I'll put in the link if you're interested in it. It's quite a long roll. I believe it's something like 20, 30 feet. And it's really nice quality. But this is all I do to prevent yellowing. So look at that. This plant was just planted here during a heat wave, 4 days ago? It's beautiful. So burlap is the trick. I just set it and forget about it. If you have a different trellis system like this will help prevent the yellowing. I just wrapped up the burlap, as you can see, and I'm still not done with the top here. So again, you want to remind yourself that the varieties are one factor why your plants are yellowing. As you can see, we have so many different varieties. The amount of sun, the time of year, your water quality, and in most cases, yellowing is caused by the UV index, the high UV, especially around the summer solstice and afterwards. So July, August, September in the Northern Hemisphere. So I hope that explains a little bit about why your dragon fruit turned yellow. And hopefully you can have these happy, beautiful, productive plants here. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about why your dragon fruit are turning yellow. Remember, a little yellow is not bad, but when you start to see that damage, give them some added protection. All right, give us a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.